Okay, so Hare Krishna, dear devotees, sorry, we couldn't do the session last week. Uh, so today we will do the 15th chapter of the 7th canto. This is the last chapter of seventh canto. There are 80 verses. There are many things discussed, but we will focus on the essence of the chapter. So in the last few, let me do the little invocation and then we'll get the chapter overview. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Urunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadhaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this 15th chapter, the last chapter of this entitled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings. As I mentioned, so we will try and take the essence of the 80 verses that are given in this chapter. In the previous few chapters, Narada Muni was focusing on Varnashrama Dharma. Varnashrama Dharma consists of four social orders and four spiritual orders. Four social orders are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, different classes of human beings based on guna and karma, means based on their qualities and based on what do they do, what activity they are doing. And for ashramas or brahmachari, the gruhastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasi, the student life and household life. Then you have vanaprastha, renounced, and then sannyasi is also renounced, retired. Vanaprastha is retired, and then sannyasi is renounced order. In the last chapter, chapter 14, mainly talked about the duties of gruhastha, householder. Um, so, what gruhastha, householder, should do is a householder should offer the results of one's work to Krishna and to be detached, devoted, neutral, simple, responsible, and maintain others as well. So, Grihastha must worship um, Krishna. So, we have in the Bhagavad Gita, Yajnarthat, just one second. Yeah, Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. So, for Krishna's pleasure, one should work. So Gruhastha, that is Gruhastha. And yeah, So, and in the previous chapter, it is also mentioned that Grihastha should take the association of Brahmanas or Vaishnavas or devotees of the Lord. Hmm? Um, that's how they should um, you know uh, they can be elevated uh, to the higher path. So, taking the association of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas is key for them to be come out of this loop of material life, household life. Um, and so, in this chapter, um, the first 11 verses, they talk about uh, you know, different kinds of brahmanas. There are different grades of brahmanas are there. Uh, mm, and whenever Grihastha performs, Grihasthas or householders are required, are recommended to perform certain rituals. And here, they talk about a Shraddha ceremony. Shraddha ceremony is offering oblations to the forefathers, mm, and their death anniversary usually. So you are recommended to offer pinda, oblations to your departed forefathers. And so the first 11 verses talks about what kind of brahmana. When we say here brahmana means a devotee of the Lord. Hmm? That's how it should be noted. So there are various types of brahmanas mentioned in this chapter. So some are very much yeah at, some are attached to fruitive activities, uh, um, and some are very much attracted to austerities and penances, who retire from family life, and some are very much attracted to reading scriptures, and some are attracted to just especially bhakti yoga. Mm. Um, so it is mentioned here that the householder, uh, whenever they wanted to give some charity um, during, the offering of oblations to their forefathers, they should select a first class Brahman or a Vaishnav devotee. uh, the charity should be given to sannyasis. Hmm? Sannyasi is also a Brahmana. Sannyasi is a Brahmana in the renounced order of life. If such sannyasi is not available, charity can be given to a householder Brahmana who is engaged in fruitive activities. Like, many times in India we see this householder Brahmanas uh, are engaged in the fruitive activities. Uh, so Prabhupada quotes a very important thing here in this connection. Um, so I'll read some of that. So the best example is in this regard is provided by Advaita Acharya. Hmm? Advaita Acharya is one of the personalities among Panchatattva. Hmm? Panchatattva means there are five personalities. These five personalities represents five truths, and one of the personalities name is Advaita Acharya. He is actually non-different from Mahavishnu. So when he came as Advaita, is Acharya. So what he had done was that um, during Shraddha, the means Shraddha ceremony means offering oblations to forefathers. He invited Haridas Thakur. Hmm. Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family. So Advaita Acharya um, did not invite other Brahmanas or Vaishnavas, other Brahmanas, but rather he offered charity to Haridas Thakur, who was born in a Muslim family, hmm, and not a Brahmana family, and was not interested in the activities of he was not interested in the normal activities. Hmm. So why did he choose Haridas Thakur instead of other, Brahmana family members? Because he was a first-class devotee. Hmm. And this first-class devotees of the Lord are very rare. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayanaha sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect knowledge of liberation, perfect in knowledge of liberation, uh, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayana or Krishna. Such devotees are extremely rare. You see, there may be several liberated persons. There may be so many perfected persons, so many intelligent people. But devotee of Lord Narayana is very rare. Sudurlabha is very rare. Huh? So yeah. So that's why Advaita Acharya selected Haridas Thakur to be the person to accept his charity. Uh, Krishna says, Name bhaktascha cheturvidi madbhakta swapachaha priyaha tasmai dheyam tato grahyam sacha pujo yathai aham. Even though a person is very learned scholar of Sanskrit Vedic literatures, is not accepted as my devotee, Krishna says, unless he is pure in devotional service. Mm. Yeah, so this is what I just want to mention. So, and what they should do during these ceremonies, Gruhastas, first they should offer boga to the Supreme Lord. We discussed this in the previous chapter also, but here also it is mentioned that boga should be offered to Krishna. Then that becomes prasad. That prasad can be distributed to the saintly person or a Vaishnava who we invite, and even offered to forefathers, even to the demigods also. Mm. Um, you know, mm, I think many, devotees from Indian background will understand, that when they offer uh, uh, the oblations to their forefathers, then they'll also offer food to their forefathers on their usually death anniversary. And here Nardamuni says that one should offer prasad. Means first you offer to Krishna, then offer to your ancestors. First you offer to Krishna, then you offer to demigods. Even demigods also sometimes, we have festivals such as Ganesh Chaturthi, etc., etc. So many other festivals. So, sometimes devotees from Indian background they may celebrate, but the demigod should be offered prasad, and this prasad can be distributed to everyone. Ideally, it says that during this Shraddha ceremony, or when during uh, offering oblations to forefathers, one should invite just one good devotee. Uh, that will be enough, it is said. Mm. And in these kind of ceremonies, it is said that better, one should avoid offering meat or etc. Animal killing should be completely avoided. Eh? Um, yeah. So that's what in the first section, that is the gist of the first section. And then second section talks about avoiding irreligion. Mm. So there are five branches of yeah. So maybe if you are in a position to read, raise your hand, then I can ask if anyone is in a position to read. Okay, Kiran Kohli Mataji, can you read the verses from 12 to 14? You can unmute kindly. You're still unmute.
I have unmuted.
Yeah, 12 to 14, please.
Okay. There are five branches of irreligion, approximately known as irreligion, religious principles for which one is unfit. Pretentious religion, analogically religion, and cheating religion. One who's aware of real religious life must abandon these five as irreligious. Text 13. Religious principles that obstruct one from following his own religion are called vidharma. Religious principles introduced by others are called paradharma, a new type of religion created by one who's falsely proud and who opposes the principles of Vedas is called updharma. An interpretation by one's jugglery of words is called chaladharma. Text 14. A pretentious religious system manufactured by one who willfully neglects the prescribed duties of his order of life is called abhasa, a dim reflection of false similarity. But if one performs the prescribed duties for his particular ashrama or varna, why they are not sufficient to mitigate all material distress.
Yeah, thank you very much. So here there are five types of um, irreligion or mentioned. The first one is vidharma. Vidharma means obstructs the execution of one's own dharma, although one considered it as dharma. Mm. Paradharma, imitation religion, introduced by someone else or performing another person's duty unfit to oneself. Mm. Abhasa dharma, whimsically worshipping some demigod or some imagination. Upadharma, concocted religion, created by a person. Um, and Chaladharma, misinterpreting the scriptures by word jugglery. Any religious principles opposed to the principles of surrendering to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Krishna are considered to be irreligion. Uh, so, so one should avoid this. And Prabhupada writes the purport. Yeah, this is what Prabhupada writes. Any religious principle opposite to the principles of surrendering to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Krishna are considered to be irreligious. Uh, yeah. To do this, of course, one needs a very good intelligence, which may be awakened after many, many births through good association with devotees and practice of Krishna consciousness. Everything but the principles of religion recommended by Krishna. Sarva dharman parityarja mamekam sharanam raja should be given up as a religion. Yes, so Prabhupada writes here that you know worshipping Krishna is the supreme religion. As Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityarja mamekam sharanam raja. So ideally, rather than one manufactures a religion, it is better one should follow in the footsteps of a bona fide guru. Accept a guru and follow that guru. Mm. That's been mentioned here. And then the next section talks about the process of conquering our anarthas, the unwanted things. Mm. That is mentioned next, how to conquer various things. Say, for example, uh, I'll read. So this is described in text 22 to 25, process to conquer various obstacles. So how to conquer lusty desires? Uh, so the answer is by making plans with the determination, by making negative determinations, such as today I will not enjoy like this. Anger can be how to give up anger by giving up envy. How to give up greed by discussing the disadvantage of accumulating wealth. How to give up fear by discussing the truth. How to give up lamentation and illusion by discussing spiritual knowledge. And to give up pride by we have to serve a great devotee. Just serve a great devotee. And how to give up obstacles on the path of mystic yoga, says keeping silent. And this is what there are various things mentioned here. All this can be automatically done if one engages in the service of spiritual masters with faith and devotion. Devotion to Guru, a broad spectrum antibiotic. So a broad spectrum antibiotic. So yeah, here it is mentioned each anartha can be conquered by a certain thing in a certain way. But if we just serve Guru, faithfully, then we will be able to conquer all these obstacles. Just 1 second. Yeah. So Hari, just once. And then later in this chapter, it is there is a process of liberation for householders is mentioned, and in that Narada Muni talks about this body as a chariot example. We have studied many times, but I will just mention here. Um, So Narada Muni gives this analogy of a body chariot. Mm? So in that, senses are compared to horses, mind is compared to reins, and destination, sense object, chariot driver, intelligence is chariot driver, like that. There are various, items of the body, and they are compared to various parts of the chariot. Um, so, but it is mentioned. The human form is meant for understanding self and the supreme self. If one specifically, a sannyasi, understands them by being purified by advanced knowledge, uh, yeah, you know. But here, Nadamni is about just one point about this chariot 46. Yeah. So he says here, as long as one has to accept a material body which with its different parts of paraphernalia which are not fully under one's control, one must have the lotus feet of his superiors, namely spiritual master and the spiritual master's predecessors. By their mercy, one can sharpen the sword of knowledge. And with the power of the Supreme Personality of God's mercy, one must then conquer the enemies mentioned above. Um, and yeah, so basically, Nardamuni clearly, there are various enemies. We know that, such as greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, madness, false prestige, uh, fault finding, deception, envy, intolerance, passion, hunger, and sleep, etc. And here Narada Muni says that by the mercy of spiritual master and by the grace of the Supreme Lord, one can conquer the enemies. Um, and if one does not take shelter of Achyuta and Baladeva, then the senses acting as horses and the intelligence acting as driver, both being prone to material contamination. So, yeah, we studied this basically, engage our senses in the service of the Lord. That's how the senses can be controlled. Mm. Um, so then 67. So Narada Muni is conversing with Yudhishthir Maharaj, and he says, O King Yudhishthir, one should perform his occupational duties according to these instructions, as well as other instructions given in the Vedic literature, just to remain a devotee of Lord Krishna. Thus, even while at home, one will be able to reach the destination. So even Grihastha can also be liberated. The ultimate goal of life is Vishnu, Krishna. Therefore, either by Vedic regulative principles or by materialistic activities, if one tries to reach the destination of Krishna, that is the perfection of life. Krishna should be the target. Everyone should try to reach Krishna from any position of life. Hmm? Uh, so, yeah. A grihastha, a householder, can also reach Krishna provided he becomes a pure devotee without material desires. An example of this is cited in the next verse. Hmm. Uh, So then he says, you are saying, Yudhishthir Maharaj, you are a grihastha, you are a householder, but you have fully surrendered to Krishna. As a result of that, you could conquer great enemies over like elephants. Thus, you collected ingredients for sacrifice. By His grace, may you be delivered from the material involvement. Mm. Um, so, although they are grihasthas, but because they have taken of shelter of Krishna, they were able to cross over many obstacles. Then Narada Muni gives his past life. Um, so before becoming a Shudra, we all know the story of how Narada Muni got the association of Bhakti Vedantas. But previous to that, in one Mahakalpa, hmm, millennium of Brahma, so he was a Gandharva. hmm. Gandharva by the name Upabarhana. Uh, so they are very good at singing. Gandharvas. They sing very well. They usually possess very beautiful bodily features. Uh, so this our Narada Muni is giving his yeah um, life history. Um, he was very respected, because he was very beautiful and very handsome, and at the same time he was able to sing very nicely. And that's why many women were very much attracted. He was he was most pleasing to the women of the city. Thus, he was always bewildered, he says, feeling lusty desires. So once there was a Sankirtan festival to glorify the Supreme Lord in an assembly of demigods. All the demigods, they decided, um, and let's do a Sankirtan festivals for glorification of the Lord. Hmm. Prabhupada writes that this Sankirtan festival that we are doing is not something new. It's been there always. So, uh, and so this Sankirtan festival, Sankirtan, Kirtan, Prabhupada says Kirtan means actually to glorify the Supreme Lord only. Sometimes people say Kali Kirtan, that Kirtan, this Kirtan. Prabhupada writes in the purport, no, no, it doesn't exist. Sankirtan, Kirtan means actually Vishnu. Hmm? So in that assembly of demigods and the Prajapatis, uh, progenitors of mankind, they were there, and they arranged this great Sankirtana festival to glorify the Supreme Lord Hari. And he was invited, our Upabharhana. He was invited to that festival. So he went there, but however, he was surrounded by women, uh, and he began to, you know, sing the glories of demigods instead of the Supreme Lord. Mm. Because of this, the Prajapatis, the progenitors of the mankind, they kind of cursed him because you have committed an offense. May you be immediately become a Shudra, devoid of beauty. So here Prabhupada writes there were two mistakes, two offenses uh, he committed. Um, so what was it? Um, the His first offense was that he went to join the Sankirtan party in the company of lusty women. This is the first offense. And the second offense was that he considered ordinary songs like cinema songs and other such songs to be equal to Sankirtan. So instead of glorifying the Supreme, he sang something else. He was doing something else. For this offense, he was punished to become a Shudra. Uh, so, um, hmm, yeah. So then he says, although I took birth as a Shudra from the womb of a maid servant, I engaged in the service of Vaishnavas who were well versed in Vedic knowledge. Consequently, in this life, I got the opportunity to take birth as son of Lord Brahma. So, why is he mentioning his previous story? So, uh, he is highlighting that point of sadhu sangha, taking the association of pure devotees. We all know. So we all know that as a son of maid servant, how we got the association of these transcendentalist Bhakti Vedantas. Mm. Um, so, and because of their association, um, you know, in this day of Brahma, he became Narada. So, um, yeah, the point highlighted here is that regardless of our social position, some or other, if we engage in the service of the pure devotees of the Lord, then we can, be elevated. We can advance in our spiritual life. Mm. And so many people don't know about. Everybody knows that how Narada Muni was a son of a maid servant, but they don't know the history of this Upabarhana, that he was a Gandharva and then he was cursed to become a Shudra. That history many people don't know, but again he's highlighting the fact is, whether you are a householder, whoever you may be. But somehow or other, if you can engage in the service of the Vaishnavas, and then, we can perfect our life. Mm, mm. So Prabhupada writes, the Sankirtana movement is important for regardless whether one is Shudra, Vaishya, Mlecha, Yavana, or whatever, if one associates with a pure devotee, follows his instructions. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. Serve pure devotee means what? Follow his instructions. That is it. His life is successful. This is bhakti. Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. Bhakti consists of serving Krishna and his devotees very favorably. Uh, uh, If one has no desire other than to serve Krishna and his devotees, then his life is successful. This is explained by Narada Muni through his practical example from his own life. So, after giving Narada Muni his previous uh, history, life history, then he says, um, yeah. The process of chanting the holy name of the Lord is so powerful that by this chanting, even householders can very easily gain the ultimate result achieved by persons in the renounced order of life. Uh, so that's what mentioned. The process of chanting of the holy name of the Lord is so powerful, so householders should take that opportunity to benefit. Hmm? Uh, Yeah. And then Narada Muni glorifies the fortunate position of Yudhishthir Maharaj and Pandavas. Um, that they were very, very fortunate to have the association of Krishna, because Krishna was there. Krishna was on their side. Many, many saintly people entered their houses and they purified the house of the Pandavas. Mm. So Narada Muni glorifies Yudhishthir Maharaj, and tells that this is the discussion between Narada Muni and Yudhishthir Maharaj that happened during the Rajasuya ceremony. There is a yajna, there is a sacrifice called Rajasuya, and in that Krishna was worshipped as the best personality. So during that time, Krishna killed um, this what's his name, Shishupal, hmm, with his Sudarshan disc. And that time Yudhishthir Maharaj asked some questions to Narada Muni, and so through that discussion entire seventh canto was narrated. So Shukadev Goswami basically repeated the conversation between Narada Muni and Yudhishthir Maharaj. So entire seventh canto is the conversation. So um, yeah, so this is how this chapter ends. So the summary of this chapter is that in the first section, Narada Muni talks about the householders should give charity to a first class devotee. Mm. And whenever there is occasion, any ritualistic ceremony, if they want to offer some food and feed someone, then they should select a good devotee and feed that person. And especially during the shraddha, that offering oblations to forefather, that time they should do this. And it is also mentioned only prasad should be offered to forefathers, demigods, and other people. That is clearly mentioned. um, and then they talk about various kinds of religion, but Prabhupada defines, surrendering to Krishna is the real religion. That is it. And then Narada Muni talks about how householders can, you know, mm, be liberated even though they are entangled in the household life. And then he talks about how this, various parts of the body to be the various parts of the chariot. Senses are like compared to horses, they are going here and there. But the best way to control these senses is to engage in the service of the Lord and his devotees under the direction of bona fide guru. Um, mm, and then Narada Muni talks about his previous life in one Mahakalpa, um, that he was a Gandharva, um, and he had beautiful bodily features, and he was very, very attractive to the women of that city. And he was always feeling lusty as a result of that. And once there was a festival to glorify Sankirtan festival, to glorify the Supreme Lord Hari. But however, he went there with a bunch of women, and he was surrounded by women, and he was not glorifying Hari, but he was glorifying someone else, and as a result of that, he was cursed to take birth as a, Shudra, and as a result of that, so he was he took birth as son of maid servant, but he says, Narada Muni says, although that he was born as a son of maid servant, but he had the opportunity to serve the saintly people. As a result of that, in this day of Brahma, he became Narad. Hmm? And at the end, Narada Muni glorifies, the position of Pandavas and Yudhishthir, how they are very dear to, the Lord, and how they depend on Lord for everything. As a result of that, even though there were so many calamities in their life, they were able to cross over because they were depending on Krishna. And yeah, so this is how this chapter ends. um, and maybe in the next one or two chapters we can revise as usual every at the end of the canto. Maybe I think we can do this in the next 2 weeks. um, you know uh, just again briefly we go through, there are 15 chapters. Maybe we I can do 2 parts, and then summarize the entire seventh canto, in a very nutshell form. And after that, then we can move forward to the eighth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Uh, yeah, so thank you very much. Really appreciate your presence. So with this, we finish seventh canto, but we'll revise the chapters quickly in the next
Hare Krishna.
session.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's a wonderful idea, and it's so greatly helpful to have that clarity again. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I think seventh canto is much simpler compared to other cantos, because it's mainly about Prahlad Maharaj. Only the last few chapters are, they talk about this Varnashrama, the 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. But the other chapters are mainly about, Prahlad Maharaj and Narsingh Dev. But however, we'll, very briefly, we'll summarize the chapters. Okay. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grandaraj Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari
Hare
Hari.
Hare Bo.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.